For most of my life, I bent myself into knots trying to explain who I was. I explained why I cared so much. I explained why I cried so easily. I explained why I loved too deeply and why I couldn't just chill. Why I saw things other people preferred to ignore. I kept explaining. And for a long time, I believed that if I just explained myself well enough, people would finally get me. Well, guess what? They didn't. And here's the truth, no one told me. They never will. Not because I'm broken, and not because you're broken, but because most people aren't wired to understand us. I had to discover that on my own, and it was a long and tough road. There is an exhaustion tied to explaining yourself. You know the feeling. You're in a group of friends, someone makes a cutting joke, and your body just stiffens. You explain, "I don't find that funny, and here's why." And they roll their eyes. Relax, it's just a joke. Or you try to describe your dreams, your obsessions, the wild visions that light you up. And people smile politely, but their eyes glaze over. Or worse, you're angry about something real, something unjust, and someone says, "Wow, you're intense, calm down." That's disappointing. But you explain again and again. You explain your feelings, your values, your sensitivity. You explain that you're not dramatic, you're just honest. You explain that you're not overreacting, you're simply awake. And every explanation drains you. Because here's the sad truth. Most people aren't listening. They're not asking to understand. They're asking to shut you up. There's a reason why they don't get you. And it took me years to accept this. Most people don't get intense, sensitive, passionate souls for one simple reason. They don't want to. To understand you, they'd have to face their own buried emotions. They'd have to accept, to admit they've been playing small, hiding behind masks, numbing out with distractions. It's easier to dismiss you as too much than to deal with their own not enough. So they'll never really get why you feel things so deeply. They'll never get why injustice makes you shake. They'll never get why beauty makes you cry. And that's okay, because your worth isn't measured by their comprehension. There's a bit of a twisted psychology to misunderstanding, and it has very much to do with what psychologists call projection. People project what they cannot face in themselves onto others. So when someone calls you overly sensitive, what they often mean is, "Your honesty reminds me of the feelings I've buried." When they call you dramatic, they mean, "Your openness threatens my mask." When they call you exhausting, they mean, "Your passion forces me to confront how numb I've become." They're not describing you. They're describing their own discomfort. And you waste your life trying to argue against their discomfort. You need to stop explaining and start living. Here's the shift that changed everything for me. I stopped trying to be understood by everyone, or by anyone really, because when you waste your fire explaining yourself to people who will never get it, you burn out. You dim yourself. You turn your intensity into a TED Talk no one asked for. But when you stop explaining, when you let them think whatever they want, you reclaim your energy. You get to live instead of justify. Not everyone is your audience. Not everyone is your tribe. That doesn't make you wrong. That makes you rare. There is huge freedom in letting go. Imagine this. You speak your truth and someone rolls their eyes. Instead of explaining, you shrug. Well, let them think whatever they want. You cry at a movie and someone laughs at you. Instead of apologizing, you wipe your tears and think, they'll never get it. And that's fine. You fall in love with abandon, and someone warns you to slow down. Now, instead of defending yourself, you smile. They cannot see what you see. Admitting that is freedom. That's living without apology. The irony is, the less you explain, the more magnetic you become. Because confidence in your truth is far more powerful than any speech about it. If you do the opposite, you'll pay a price that is just not worth paying. Because there's a cost to chasing understanding. Every time you beg to be understood, you hand your power away. You're saying, my truth only matters if you approve it. You're saying, my fire only counts if you recognize it as fire. My worth is conditional on your comprehension. And the tragedy is, some people will never comprehend you. They don't have the range. They've never swum in the depths you live in. Expecting them to get you is like expecting someone who's never seen the ocean to understand a tidal wave. So stop drowning yourself trying to drag them into water they'll never enter. That doesn't mean you never explain yourself. It means you just get selective. Explanations are intimacy, they're energy, they're sacred. You offer them to people who've earned it, the ones who listen with curiosity, not contempt. The ones who lean in instead of shutting you down. Also the ones who ask questions because they want to know, not because they want ammunition to use against you later. Those are your people. Those are the ones worth your fire. Everyone else, let them think whatever they want. Being misunderstood doesn't mean being alone. Because here's the paradox. When you stop chasing mass understanding, you actually make room for real connection. Because the more you contort yourself to be understood by everyone, the less you are truly seen by anyone. But when you drop the performance, when you embrace being misunderstood, this is what you signal to the right people. This is me, unfiltered. And those people will find you. Slowly, maybe. Rarely, for sure. But they will. And one true connection is worth 1,000 shallow nods of understanding. Of course, letting go isn't easy. Our brains are wired to crave belonging. Being misunderstood can feel like death. But here's the inner work you just have to do. You have to build such a deep self-trust that misunderstanding doesn't shatter you. That means journaling until your own truth is clear to you, even if no one else sees it. It means creating art, music, writing that validates your own experience. Practicing saying, that's fine, when someone misreads you instead of panicking. Surrounding yourself with people who get it. Even if it's a tiny circle. The goal isn't to stop wanting connection. The goal is to stop begging for comprehension from those who cannot give it. So here's the truth. They won't get you anyway. And that's not a tragedy. That's liberation. Once you accept reality for what it is. Because the people who are meant to get you will, instantly, without explanation. They will feel your fire and say, "Oh, finally." And everyone else, let them think whatever they want. You are not put here to be digestible. You are put here to burn, to blaze, to unsettle the numb, to ignite the awake. You don't owe explanations to people who've already decided not to listen. So stop explaining. Start living. If you've been told you're too much, if you've worn yourself out trying to be understood, this is for you. You don't need everyone to get you. You just need to find the ones who do. And that's what I'm building here. A space for the intense, the passionate, the misunderstood, the ones who don't fit in because they were never meant to. So if you're done explaining yourself, stick around. Subscribe to Way Out of Line, and let's build a world where intensity isn't shamed, it's celebrated. Because the truth is, you'll never be fully understood by everyone. But you don't need everyone. You just need the ones who make you feel fully alive. Thank you for being here today. Hope to see you next time too. Bye.